The very first object that we want to create is the food inventory object. So before I create the food inventory object, I want to just quickly look at what that means. What that means is that we are creating the complete table. So when we create the complete table, including the columns, is the infrastructure of the object, and then with every entry we make into that object, it's going to be a new line for each one of those entries. So the first object that we want to create is called the food inventory object. And coming back to our Salesforce instance, right now we're on the Home tab. When you want to create a new object, you're going to click on Setup, and then in Setup you will expand out Create, and then you will click on Objects. When I click on Objects, it says there are two deleted objects on my instance. That's from something that I was testing earlier. Yours probably doesn't say that right now, so go ahead and click on New Custom Object. And when you click on New Custom Object, so this is the object which is going to hold all the information about our inventory. So the name for this new custom object is food inventory. And then it's asking us if there was the plural name for this. So we will type in food inventories. And then the object name is food inventory. And this is an account. So we will, this is how it's going to be referred to within the Salesforce API. So we will change it to IES because this is where all our inventories are. And this there's a slide description here that we can give it. So this object contains the inventory information. And then after that, the more important field on this page is this: enter the record name, label, and format. So there are two types of so what that essentially means is that when you create an object, it automatically creates the first set of required fields. So there are two possible ways. So when you create an object, so you have to think of it that when you're going to create a new entry into the food inventory object, that entry is going to have some data related to it, and that data related to it is right here in this box. It says you're going to need to give it a food item, what food item name it is, how much quantity you have available, and what the unit price is. So what you see in front of you is the two different ways you can give it this information, because when you create your object, it automatically creates the first field. So Salesforce automatically creates the first field. So what Salesforce is asking us over here is it's asking us, do you want to type in your first field as a text value, or do you want Salesforce to automatically give it an auto number? So in our auto number formats right over here, A-0000, and then the first number is going to be 1. So what we want, and you will see what this means here in a moment, is that we want to give it our own name. So we don't want to use the auto number. We want to use a text field, so that when we make the new entry, we just type in the name of the food item, and so we will use the record name, the food inventory name. And then it's asking us, do we want to allow reports on it, allow activities, track field history, and allow chatter and groups. And then it is the classification. It's asking us, do you want to allow sharing, allow bulk API access, and allow streaming API access. And this is going to be deployed. So we're fine with the way it is. So we will click Save. And we have created our first object. So when we created our first object, right now it is just an object with the one field, which is an automatically created field, and here it is, the food in the, well, it's not visible here. Whenever we make a new entry into this object, we're going to see that field. So we've created the object, but But as you may remember from earlier, I had pointed out that the objects, all the tabs up here are also objects. So we don't see the tab up here as yet. So what we need to do next is we need to add this object as a tab. How do you do that? What you do is within this setup area, and within this, underneath this create options, there's an option for tabs. So you click on tabs, and then you want to create a new custom object tab. So you click on new. And so there has only been one custom object that we have created, which is food inventory, and we want to give it a style. So there it has a couple of these style options. So we will give it an apple, and then we'll click next. And so we're creating a tab that will show up over here. So it is asking us which profiles to add this tab to. So we're making it available for all the profiles. And then it is asking us which applications do we want to include it in, because if you remember, we have all of these applications that were pre-packaged with Salesforce. So we don't want to include it in all our applications. So let's uncheck this, and let's just only include it in the frozen foods delivery application. And we'll click save. And we click save, and you see now there is this tab up here, the food inventory tab. And now if I click on this food inventory tab, I will open it in a separate browser tab. When I click on the food inventory tab and I click new, it asks me what is the food inventory name. And so if I say that our food inventory is chicken wings, and I click save, it will have made an entry of chicken wings into our food inventory tab. So when I click back on the food inventory tab, it says that there are chicken wings that are in the food inventory. Now if I click on chicken wings, it gives me the more detail about the chicken wings. However, chicken wings, we need more information than just chicken wings. We need to know how many chicken wings we have in our inventory and what's the unit price of these chicken wings. So how do we add that in here? So going back to our keynote, here it says that we have a food item, quantity available, and unit price. So let's add the quantity available field first, and we'll go back to our Chrome. So how we add a field to an object. So you click on setup, and then you expand out create, and then you click on objects, and then we have the food inventory object right here. And within the food inventory object, we say we want to create a new custom field. And the custom field that we want to create, it has all these different types of fields that are available. And as you go through the class, you'll learn more about these fields. But the custom field that we are particularly interested in right now is the number field, which allows users to enter any number. Leading zeros are removed. And so we'll use a number field. We'll click next. And the label we'll give it is quantity available, and the length it's saying is like, what's the length? It's 18, and how many decimal places is 0. So its quantities are going to be in whole, so we will leave the length at 18 and 0 decimal places, and field name is going to be quantity available. And then next it's asking us if there is a help text. In help text, we could type in some help text, so that when the user hovers over information box like this, they can see what the help text is. And we can have this required, we can make it unique, and we can make an external ID, but we're not going to do any of those right now. And we'll just click next. And now it's asking us what user profiles should this particular field be available to. So we'll make it visible to all user profiles, and we'll click next. and then which page layout do we want to be on. So what that means here is that in the food inventory, when we click on this chicken wings, this is the food inventory page layout. So we want it to be visible on the food inventory page layout, and we will click, because we have to make one more field besides this one, we have to also make a unit price field. So instead of just clicking save, we'll click on save and new, and the next field we're going to make is the unit price field. And so this is a currency field, so we're just creating new fields in our object. So I'll click on currency, and I'll click next, and the name is unit price. So your price can be in decimals as well. So the total length 18 is allowed, so we have to make 18 into 16, and the decimals will make it up to 2 decimals. And we will have a help text which will say this is the unit price, and then we will click on next, and we will make it visible to all profiles. We'll click on next. We want it to be in the food inventory layout, and then we click on save. So all the fields that we require for our food inventory object, which says custom object, food inventory object, and down here it says custom fields and relationships, all the fields that we need are here. So there is quantity available, unit price, and by default, whenever you create a new entry into the food inventory object, it asks you for the name, because if you remember, we earlier looked at the distinction between the two different types of initial entries we can have, the text or auto number, and we picked up text, and that means whenever we make a new entry we have to type it in. And so at this point we have 3 fields that need to be typed in when we create a new entry into the food inventory object. So let's look at what that means. So we'll click on the food inventory object in our application, and I'll click new. When I click new, it's saying, well, what's the food inventory name? What name are we going to refer it to as? And we will just take it, say chicken pizza, and then after that, quantity available. So you remember we enter some help text. This is this question mark is here to help us with the help text. So let's say we will say we have 5,000 pizzas available, and then the unit price is we again have that help text. This is the unit price, and the unit price we will say is, let's say, $4, and we'll click on save. And so now when we click on save, we have created a new entry. This is again the food inventory page layout, and in this page layout is saying that food inventory name is chicken pizza, quantity available is 5,000, and unit price is $4. Now if I click back on this food inventories, I can see that there have been 2 entries. There has been chicken pizza and chicken wings. Now if I click on chicken wings, it should not have any information for quantity available and unit price, because when we created this entry, it was not we didn't have those 2 fields. So we can click on the edit button, and we can enter a value for chicken wings, and we will make it we'll just make it $1. And so now we have both of these entries available as well. So when I click on food inventories, I can see I have chicken wings and I have chicken pizza. And when I click on chicken wings, it tells me that I have 10,000 available at $1 a piece. And when I click on chicken pizza, it tells me that I have 5,000 available at $4 a piece. Now the objective is not to make you hungry, by the way. This is just the idea that we're working with. So you can see under this food inventories tab, there's a lot of free real estate. So So this information that we have to click on chicken pizza, and then we see this quantity available and unit price. We can have this information show up right underneath the tab within this page. So how we do that is, I'm going to go back to this first tab where we are still in the setup, under setup for the custom object food inventories. If you're wondering how I got here, I'll just do it again. You click on setup, you expand out create, you click on objects, and you click on the food inventory object. And so what we're trying to figure out is that there is all this space here where we could show the quantity available and unit price, but we're not showing it right now. So if you want to see quantity available or unit price, we actually have to click on the entry, and then once you click on the entry, we see the quantity available and unit price. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that information available on the front page, and it's very simple to do. We have come in through setup into our object, and within our object there is an area which says search layouts. There is a page layout. So this page layout refers to this page right here that has shown up now. And then the search layouts, within these search layouts, there is a food inventory tab layout, and it's saying that right now the columns to display is just food inventory. So we click on the search layout for food inventories tab layout, and it asks us what other information do we want to show next to this, the tab of food inventory name. So we will add quantity available and unit price, and we will click save, and now we will refresh this view, and it should show us the quantity available and unit price. So our basic first object is ready. I'm going to go ahead and make a few more entries in here. So we will we'll make some big entries, and if we go back to the tab, you can see we added frozen salmon into our list as well. So we will make a few more entries, and we will we'll have oysters, and we will make a few more entries in here. So I've been clicking save. I can also click save and new, and it allows me to make instead of having to go back to click on this tab and then clicking on new, it just allows me to make multiple entries, one after the other. And there we have it. We have some entries in our food inventory. So this is our food inventory object is complete. We have all these food items available. These are all the quantities available, and these are all the unit prices. And now we will work on our next object.